I'll be voting no in September to protect not only my pension, but the pensions of everyone else in Scotland. I worked in local government all my adult life and paid into my pension all my days to provide a secure future for myself and my family. There's nothing unusual about that, but Alex Salmond hasn't given any answers as to how we protect pensioners of today and those of the future. I rely on my pension to support my household and don't want to see that put at risk. Because Alex Salmond won't tell us his plan B for currency, I have no idea how much my pension might be worth in the future and what impact that will have on my ability to pay my mortgage or indeed if I want to spend out of Scotland. I'm worried about leaving the UK and what that would mean for state pensions like mine and the security of these pensions in the long term. Our population in Scotland is ageing faster than the UK as a whole, and less working people will be able to fund the pension if we are a separate country. Right now, as part of the UK, pensions are funded by the working population across Scotland, England, Northern Ireland and Wales. Not only does that mean more people supporting our pensioners, it also means that tax paid by a worker in, say, Liverpool supports a pensioner in Leith, and vice versa. There's something about that I really like. It means that people are working together to support one another, rather than walking away based on a simple idea that we're somehow different. Instead, we are told we are different and we should walk away, making cultural, family and financial bonds, without knowing something as simple as what our currency would be. That makes no sense to me, and no vote can safeguard our pensions from such senseless risks and by Scotland the future as part of the United Kingdom. Thank you. Can I now introduce Joanna Moore?
I know others will disagree and elect to vote yes, and they will do so for many varied reasons. We may even share the same goals and ambitions for our country, but disagree how we get there. For some people, they want something completely different for Scotland, and they believe a yes vote will help to achieve this. I respect all of these views, and I hope they respect mine, and all those who share it, because I am proud to vote no. It's not because I'm too scared, or not radical enough, or too negative, or that David Cameron or Ed Miliband told me to. It's not because I'm putting my party before the people of Scotland. It is not because I care about my country any less than a yes voter. I have faced all of these accusations and many more. But I am voting no because I think it is the best for my family and my country. My ambition for Scotland is to lead the United Kingdom, not leave it. I think voting no is a patriotic choice. I think it's a positive choice, and I think it's the right choice. There are many reasons why I think voting no is a patriotic, positive and right choice. It speaks to my politics that we would try to cooperate and work in partnership with our neighbours out of a sense of community and solidarity. I have to say I don't care any less about a poor child or a sick pensioner living south of the border than I do for those here in Scotland. I want to help make things better for everyone in Scotland, in the United Kingdom and in the world. I also don't believe in erecting borders, literal or metaphorical, where we don't need them. I much prefer breaking down barriers and celebrating things that unite us rather than divide us, and using what we have in common to work together rather than allowing our differences to separate us. I also believe our identity is not shaped by geography, but by who we are and what we believe in. There is nothing inevitable about someone's values or politics just because we're born in a certain place or carry a certain nationality. Instead, a whole range of influences make us who we are. Friends, I believe these are all good reasons to vote no. I believe they are patriotic, positive and right, and I know that many people agree with me. But there are other reasons why I believe people should vote no. Alex Salmond and Nicola Sturgeon would accuse me of being negative and talking Scotland down. But I don't see anything negative about pointing out the basic facts of the referendum. And these are basic facts. Scotland has a population of 5 million. United Kingdom has 60 million. You don't need to be an economist to work out there would be more risk if we went it alone. Scotland receives more out of the United Kingdom than we put in because the United Kingdom is based on the belief in distributing money based to reflect our geographical needs. Why would we want to change that? And the Scottish population is growing older and faster than the rest of the United Kingdom. That means the ratio of people working would be less if we went it alone. The only reason Alex Salmond is even able to have an argument about the finances of an independent Scotland is oil, a volatile and diminishing resource. But surely relying on oil for our future prosperity creates risk we don't need to take. None of these problems are insurmountable. No one is arguing that Scotland can't be an independent country. But the question that I can't get an answer to is why would we risk all of these things when we don't have to? People will vote on September 18th for many reasons. But I suspect that for most people, their decision will be based on what's best for them and their family. Would they be better off or worse off? Would their jobs, savings and pensions be more or less secure? We see, of course, from the Yes campaign, a beautiful picture of a utopian Scotland where the streets will be paved with gold and milk and honey will flow throughout Ireland. All people, no one will be poor and our economy will be booming, just like that. But the numbers don't add up and there is no credible suggestion how this would be possible. Wishing it to happen isn't enough. The truth is that on day one of independence, we will be worse off. People will need to ask themselves if that will be a price worth paying. Some may think it's a gamble worth taking. They may think that they don't have much, see what Alex Salmond is offering, and think that rolling the dice might be worth it if they can have some of that. But I worry it will those with the least who have the most to lose from separation. I believe this is the cynicism at the heart of the nationalist offer. They are offering the most vulnerable in our society things which they know they cannot and will not deliver. And I have to say, if you offer those who need it hope, you should not do it lightly. You should do it with a plan to deliver the change they need. To press the demands of your political project by preying on people who are hoping for something better when you have no intention of delivering is the ultimate in putting your party before the needs of ordinary people. So before making the decision and the prospectus put forward by Alex Salmond and Nicola Sturgeon, I ask you to look at their record. In 7 years in office, there has not been one policy from this SNP which has redistributed wealth from rich to poor. Instead, Alex Salmond's government has done the opposite. They have redistributed resources from poor to rich, a kind of inverse Robin Hood. It is the richest who have benefited most from the council tax freeze. Parents who spend tens of thousands of pounds to send their children to private school pay nothing for university, and 130,000 places are cut from our colleges to help pay for it. Does that sound like a party trying to design a more equal society? Could they change after a yes vote? Well, the signs suggest not. The only proposal they have made on tax is to guarantee bankers and big business that they will pay 3 pence in the pound less than any corporation tax rate George Osborne sets. We have no idea what the tax rates would be for ordinary working families, but we do know that the bankers would pay less. If this is a progressive beacon, someone should tell them the bulb has gone out. But it is worse than that. John Swinney, in his famous leaked paper, questioned the affordability of the basic state pension. But of course, no member of the public was supposed to see a paper that was circulated to the members of his cabinet. And then, Honest John came out with lavish promises on the pension, but at no point did we see his workings. At no point did he tell us how he had travelled from a position when he doubted the affordability of the basic state pension to offering riches. And I suspect there were no workings. This is a government where the ends always justifies the means, and if that means kidding people on, then that's just fine. I find the cynicism at the heart of this is breathtaking. The Independent Institute of Fiscal Studies has estimated that an independent Scotland would have to impose an additional £6 billion of cuts each year from the start. That is half of the entire health budget. It is more than we spend on schools. But there is no attempt from the nationalists to face up to the painful realities they would inflict on the people of Scotland to satisfy what looks increasingly like blind dogma. And we know from the last 7 years, when Alex Salmond makes cuts, the poorest and most vulnerable are hit worst. The elderly need in care, getting visits which last less than 15 minutes, patients in hospitals without blankets, a health service we relied on described as a car crash by the leader of Scotland's doctors. All of us in Scotland suffering because we have a government on pause while the SNP try to bully and deceive Scotland along the way to separation. Let us be clear. Rather than face up to the realities, they will say or do anything to drag Scotland over the line to separation. And I have to say the latest deceit is the worst example of this. Alex Salmond is trying to frighten the sick and the vulnerable by saying that the Scottish Health Service would be privatised if there is not a yes vote. But let me tell you, the only person who can privatise the health service is Alex Salmond, because control of our National Health Service is firmly in the hands of the Scottish Parliament. And this exposes the difference between ourselves and the nationalists. When the Tories threaten to privatise the NHS in England, I say, let's take on the Tories. The SNP say, let's turn tail and run. And all of this makes a wonderful smokescreen for the campaign to divert from the truth. That if we are to find £6 billion worth of cuts, as the experts suggest, then it will be Alex Salmond and Nicola Sturgeon who will set about wrecking our NHS. So be warned, over the next 6 weeks, things can only get worse from the yes side as they desperately try to revive their failing campaign. You have to ask yourself, if the Nationals are going to care for the most vulnerable in their communities after a yes vote, why have they done so little in the last 7 years? It's not just Scotland they claim will change after the referendum. It would seem they will finally care about poverty. But I believe the people of Scotland are just not buying it. When the Nationals see poverty, they don't see a wrong to be righted, they see an opportunity to be exploited. Where there is suffering, they do not see injustice, they see a grievance to be nurtured. And you won't end poverty by impoverishing Scotland, and that is what the Nationals threaten to do to our country if they succeed in ripping our nation out of the United Kingdom. Just as Norman Lamonts, no relation, disgusted us all and said that unemployment was a price worth paying, remember that? So we have to realise for the Nationalists that is a price is not worth paying for separation. They cannot explain why losing £1,200 a year more per person spent in public services in Scotland than the rest of the United Kingdom is a price worth paying. They cannot explain to the pensioner why losing the extra £500 per person going to pensioners in Scotland is a price worth paying. They cannot explain why losing the backing of our pensions and our benefits across 60 million people rather than just 5 million people is a price worth paying. Those are some of the things which we would lose if we voted to leave the United Kingdom. And what would we gain? For the average family, I believe, nothing but negatives. We're still waiting, of course, for the First Minister to tell us the basic of what currency we would have in an independent Scotland. Whether it's the groat, the bawbee, or a currency union with the Armenian dram, what we can be assured of is that our interest rates would be higher. Let's say you have a mortgage of £80,000. Independent analysts have said that interest rates in a separate Scotland would be 1 to 2% higher than the rest of the United Kingdom, and much higher than that if Alex Salmond follows through on his astonishing threat to default on Scotland's debt. A 1% rise would mean families having to find an extra £800 a year to keep their homes. A 2% rise would mean an extra £1,600 a year for the privilege of living in Salmond, Scotland. And then there are food bills. The chief executives of major supermarket chains have said that after separation, the cost of the weekly shop would have to rise. Look at Ireland, where typical shopping bills are 13% higher than in the United Kingdom. That's an extra £359 a year for a typical family. So vote yes for less money to spend on schools and hospitals, on doctors and nurses, yes to smaller pensions and less security. And the average family, £2,000 worse off just to keep a roof over their heads and food on the table. But of course, the starting point of nationalism is not how to improve the lot of the people of Scotland. It did not ask the question how to improve lives for pensioners and then come to the conclusion they'd be better off after independence. It didn't ask how to abolish poverty and decided that separation was the answer. They did not ask how will we help families achieve security and aspiration and then discover a new state was the answer. It is the opposite. We started with the dogma that Scotland must be separate, and then when that was rejected, they manufactured a message based on guesswork and blind faith to try to sell it to those who said no. So when independent experts, Citigroup, say that the average family's energy bills would go up by £845 a year in a separate Scotland, the Nationalists say that's a price worth paying. When mortgages go up, when food bills go up, they will still say these are prices worth paying. And jobs, it's the same. Jobs, when he told us just yesterday that we will have full employment if we vote yes. The financial services workers, or any of the £1 million jobs that are linked to the United Kingdom, they will need more than SNP's promises to be secure in their jobs. When I look at the realities of the proposal the Scottish Nationalists are putting before the people of Scotland, I'm reminded of the words of Neil Kinnock from 13 years ago, but which still hit the mark today. He said, "I warn you that you will have poverty when pensions slip and benefits are whittled away by a government that won't pay in an economy that can't pay. I warn you that you will be cold when fuel charges are used as a tax system that the rich don't notice and the poor can't afford. I warn you not to be ordinary. I warn you not to be young. I warn you not to fall ill. I warn you not to get old." Neil Kinnock may have been talking about Margaret Thatcher, but remember, in Alex Salmond, we have a man who said that Scotland didn't mind Margaret Thatcher's economics. Well, I think I can speak for the people of Scotland when I say, no, Mr Salmond, we did mind. In fact, Scotland detested Margaret Thatcher's economics, and we won't be going down that road again. Salmond may rave against austerity, but he knows a new additional wave of austerity would have to come after independence. And as that new wave hits, Salmond offers no hope for ordinary people, just tax cuts for the bankers and the rich. So when the battle to stop the abolition of the United Kingdom is won, we can focus on the real priorities of the people of Scotland, and the battle to abolish poverty can begin again. We will need to heal the wounds of a divided Scotland. We will need a vision of a new Scotland which can reunite Scotland. Yes, we will have a stronger Scottish Parliament with more powers, but those are not an end in themselves. They are just a means to an end, and that end, surely, must be social justice. When the Nationalists talk of oil being our greatest natural resource, I disagree with them. Our greatest national resource is our people, and we cannot allow the talents of any one of them to be wasted. Our priority as a nation should not be erecting a border with England. It should be tearing down the barriers which prevent our young from getting a decent education, which stop families aspiring to their dreams and threaten our elderly with poverty and insecurity. That should be our focus. A real vision, rooted not in the dogma of nationalism, but rooted in the real experience, the real hope, the real dreams of ordinary families throughout this country. We will not be bought and sold for Salmond's fool's gold. Instead, we will use the strength of the United Kingdom to make Scotland stronger. Poverty is our enemy, not our neighbours, and we don't need to destroy our country to change our nation. Let's unite around shared values which have no borders, the conviction of fairness, equality and community, and build a Scotland for the many, not the few. So on September the 19th, we face two futures. One where we put ourselves at a disadvantage and take on all of the risk that has been set out today on currency, on jobs, on pensions, our grocery prices and on our NHS. Or one where we use the strength of the United Kingdom and the opportunity of devolution to achieve our goals for Scotland. That is the future I believe in. One where we lead the United Kingdom, not leave the United Kingdom. That is why I am voting no. I believe it is the patriotic, the positive and the right choice. And I believe that keeping the UK family together is the right thing for my family and for yours. Thank you.
We just heard a lot of horse shit.